shooting a HYROX race is its own set of challenges, especially when you're shooting for the E15. So what happens when the Elite 15 come out? So it's like the 15 top men and women in the world, essentially, is my understanding. Um, when they come out to race, it's basically only those 15 athletes. They all start at the same time. It's only those 15 athletes. Nobody else is out there on the floor. So, like, as a regular racer, when you're racing, there's other heats, there's teams, there's individuals, there's all sorts of stuff going on. A lot more people running, a lot more to try to avoid, So obviously they want to remove as much of that traffic as possible for the elites,
Yeah.
so that it's the truest, most fair test
Right.
for those individuals.
Right.
But the challenging part of capturing that is that there is 8 stations. Okay, there's 8 1,000 meter runs, a HYROX race, 8 1,000 meter runs, and there's 8 stations in between each set of 1,000 meter run. And what makes that challenging is that people will go to the station that they want to see and just camp it out. So, like, let's say at the start of the race, you want to be at the start line, but there's already, and I totally would screw up this order, I'm pretty sure. I know the first thing is ski, but anyway, so you run your 1,000 meters and then they go to the ski. So you're trying to capture these athletes, but there's 4 rows of people standing there watching them ski. And I'm like, okay, now I have to figure out how I'm going to capture my athlete, because there's, 40 some odd people and that's just within like a 10-foot radius of me that I need to like push through to try and get photos of my athlete. And, so on and so forth. So like people want to watch the sled pull. So like people will go line up and stand in front of the sled pull and wait. And so like you can't, it can be challenging to get the pictures you really want. Or you just might have to get a little more creative, like think outside of the box to get some photos for your athletes. Which
especially
I mean,
especially when there's that many stations, like 8 stations, and people are like stalking out those locations, like, and you have to pivot from station to station. You have to move alongside the athlete. So like, it's not like you can like
I
what
can't
we
just
do is
go to the sled pull and wait.
Yes.
And be there, and get like the best angle of all time.
Yes.
Because I have to be at the other few stations first. Yeah. So
yes,
it's definitely, it brings its own set of challenges for sure.
Yeah. So what worked best then, besides throwing like a cold shoulder or like a swift elbow to someone's back? Like, was there anything that like worked well for you?
Yeah, I would hit him with a Stone Cold Steve Austin stunner. No, I'm just
Most
kidding.
underrated wrestling move in history, by the way. Let me tell you.
I don't disagree, but we'll not try to get off on too many tangents today. Being self-proclaimed supposed to only be a 20-minute episode.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We're already pushing 17.
So there are a couple ways, right? Like you can kind of ask nicely. You can kind of push through. I mean, I did different things at different times. There were these bridges. I know that you'll know what I'm talking about. But there were these bridges that go over where the athletes ran to get into the center area. So if you're envisioning like a football stadium, like an NFL stadium, for those of you that haven't been to one or just even seen them on TV. So there's the stadium and the stands, and then there's usually like a 12-foot drop, at least something like of that nature, before you get to the field, right? So obviously that's so like people aren't jumping over that and coming onto the field and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So anyway, what they had done is they built these bridges from the stadium seating down into the center area so that you could watch, and that's where there was vendors and all that sort of stuff. Like Center had their booth there. There are a couple other booths like this, that, and the other. But anyway, that's where the spectators would stand so they could watch their significant others or their friends or people from their gym race.
Or like their enemies and just like throw stuff at them as they go by. Like you could.
Don't recommend that.
Yeah.
But maybe, I could see that being a possibility. But I would go get on that staircase and I would pull out like a longer lens and I would shoot from up there for some of the stations. I mean, there are a couple cool views of that because as the athletes are running through that portion of the 1K, um, you can also shoot down on them, like running underneath you, which is pretty
Right.
cool. Um, Stuff like that. But I mean, again, it's not too different from like some of the media pits that you deal with in like the CrossFit space. I think some media pits at some places are more strictly for media. There are some competitions where like there's like media and a VIP section. They're like
Yeah.
combined. So like
Right.
you're still kind of having to fight spectators to
Right.
get a shot. But I think that anybody that's in this space that wants to go anywhere in this space is going to be able to get the shot regardless of
Yeah,
what
you
someone
have
else
to get
is.
your
So,
shot. Like you have to work in there. So you mentioned
yeah.
like politely being, with people and like maybe even explaining the situation of like, hey, like, can I get this shot real quick? Like I'm working with this athlete and just kind of like work in that way because
Yeah, yeah.
especially if you're hired for someone, you should carry yourself a little bit differently than if you're
Yeah.
there for fun. Like if you're there for fun, like, you can kind of like be a little bit passive, but like if you're employed by someone and someone is paying you to be there, like have the initiative and take the initiative of like getting in there.
Yeah, you can't be
Um,
afraid.
no,
That's not going to get you anywhere.
no, definitely isn't. And you got to be assertive about it.